day here at the Lessons of the Lashpreneur. I try to do at least one Q&A a month to make sure that I am answering the most pertinent questions that you have about running a lash business. So today's Q comes from @GetLashed YXE, and she simply and clearly asks, how do you stick to your policies? Fantastic question. So get lashed, you're in for a treat, because in this episode, I'm going to share some great tips on how to ensure your clients follow your rules. First off, I want to celebrate. We have had over 30,000 downloads of the podcast, and we've had over 7,500 hours watched on YouTube based on Lessons of a Lashpreneur. And my mind is just blown with that kind of commitment from you guys to listen, to watch, to invest the time it takes in order to grow your business. I am floored that you have chosen me as somebody that you are going to continue to follow and learn from. And this, you guys, is what keeps me going. So thank you for all your reviews, all the times that you tag me in your stories, that you're watching or that you're listening to the podcast, or that what you're learning from, for sharing messages about how I've impacted you. That is why I do this every single week without fail. This is a huge part of what my team focuses on a weekly basis, is getting this bad boy, the information that I have in this little head of mine, out into the world. So from the bottom of my heart and from my team, thank you so much for following along on this journey. Now, let's get into today's Q. So policies, great question. There are a couple of tips that I have for you today on policies, because it's not just you need to have a bigger backbone, or you just need to stand your ground, or you need to fire clients. There is a method to the madness of policies to ensure that you're not getting taken advantage of. And so we're going to go over kind of like the step-by-steps of having policies so that they can then be enforced. So number one, you need clear policies. First and foremost, if your policies don't make sense, then how are you ever going to enforce them? Because a client needs to understand what the boundaries are, or they'll just continue to push it and you'll just keep continuing to be a pushover. And eventually you're just going to get walked all over, where you resent your clients, you resent your business, or you're just losing money and hemorrhaging money left and right because you can't get yourself enough of a, I don't want to say backbone because that sounds really negative, but enough confidence in yourself as a business owner to set that boundary. Just because you own a business does not mean that somebody gets to walk all over you just because they're paying you for a service. That is not being a business owner. That right there, first and foremost, is the employee mindset. If you think that a client, just because they pay you, gets to have their way, that the client's always right, we've already talked about this in past episodes. Heck no, that mindset needs to go by the wayside. You need to have very clear policies in almost a if this, then that format. Meaning, if you are late to your appointment, then this happens. Either I cancel it, or you get less lashes, or whatever. If you no-show me, then I will charge you. If you show up with makeup all over your face, then we're going to have less time to lash. If you request a refund, I don't give refunds. Here's the scenario that we run into, like the most common scenarios, and this is what happens if you do that. If a client in their first consultation, you've gone over the policies, they've signed them, whatever, if they've agreed to it, they've agreed to it. Whether they chose to read it or not, they've still agreed to it. So I want you to have the most clear policies that you can have. Think about every single policy you have, and does it have a, if this situation happens, then this is what happens. And it doesn't always have to be a negative thing for a client. It can be, if your lashes fall out within 24 hours, then I will do a free touch-up or whatever for you. We need to lay out all of the possible scenarios so that everybody's on the same page and everybody knows what happens when XYZ scenario happens. That is the number one thing that you need to do with your policies first and foremost, is make sure that they're laid out clearly so everybody understands cause effect. And you guys, please hear me when I say this. I sound like a broken record, but I love it. It's okay to treat adults like adults. As much as we often compare our clients to children because we have to teach them how to do things, they are still consenting adults agreeing to paying for a service that you are providing. So if they, here we go with the if then, if they choose not to follow your policies, then they don't get to be a part of your business. If they don't want to follow the rules, they don't get to play the game. I'm going to knit that on a tea cozy and start selling it. If they don't want to play by the rules, they don't get to play in your game. They can go play somebody else's game who's fine with being walked all over. But this leads me into my second point, is understanding the purpose that your policies play in your business. Your policies actually serve a very specific purpose in your business. And it's not, a form of extortion for your clients or cruel punishment or, corporal punishment or whatever. It is protecting your ability to keep your business open. That's it. It's you protecting your ability to keep clients coming in, to keep appointments on schedule, to keep you making money so that you can keep your doors open, so that you can continue to give them lashes, right? Your policies serve to protect the health of your business. And that is why it's okay for you to enforce policies. Because, and I guess this is just how I saw it. I never really had an issue enforcing policies because I saw it as either this client is going to get their way because they're throwing a hissy fit, or I'm going to protect my ability to support my family. And when I put it in those terms in my head, I had no problem setting a healthy boundary, right? Like it's not an unreasonable boundary. The policies should never be unreasonable. They're just logically laid out and they're explained so that everybody's on the same page. But even if you have outlandish policies, then a client can choose not to be a part of your business or not to want to comply with your policies, but that means that they don't get the service. They don't get you, and you have to be okay drawing that line in the sand. Oftentimes when we talk about taking deposits or money before a client has ever come in, a lot of lash artists go, oh, I think that'll scare away clients. Fan-frickin-tastic. It's scaring away the right types of clients, right? We're scaring away the clients that are going to flake, that they don't want to be held accountable for picking a time that they chose and showing up on time for a time that they chose and for coming in with clean lashes and ready to go. They don't want to be respectful of your time? Good. Don't take up any of my time by booking an appointment, because you put your money where your mouth is. If you're not going to show up for, the $50 deposit, then I'm going to be happy to take that money and let that be a painful lesson for you to learn, but that's not on me. These are my rules. You're going to follow my rules, or you can go elsewhere, right? So it's okay for you to have a healthy business boundary in order to protect your ability to keep your business functioning efficiently, effectively, and profitably. All right. Whew. So anytime that you struggle with having that uncomfortable conversation with a client, whether you need to enforce a policy, whether you need to fire a client, whatever it may be, I want you to think about the purpose that you're about to have this conversation is because something is getting in the way of you running your business efficiently. And maybe it's as simple as just drawing it to a client's attention, giving them a warning, a professional and polite warning. If you do this, then this is going to happen the next time. Or it's the uncomfortable conversation of, we can no longer continue this relationship because of X, Y, and Z. And I need to be able to protect my ability to run my business. And unfortunately, this is just not working, whatever. We'll get into another conversation another day about firing clients. But whenever that time comes up, confrontation is never fun, guys. It's never something that anybody looks forward to, but it is a necessary part of you being a business owner because you have to protect your business. So lastly, I want you to draw a line in the sand. You need to know where that healthy business boundary is. You need to know when somebody is pushing against it and for you to stand firm against them pushing. Because here's what happens. If somebody starts pushing against your boundary and you let them, they will continue to do so. And you now have no leg to stand on because you've let them get away with it 1, 2, 5, 20 times. So why would they think that you're serious in maintaining any boundaries when you've let them walk all over you? So you need to set a line in the sand. And that's how I stuck with my policies. My clients knew I took my business seriously and knew what would happen, because if this, then that would happen. I sent invoices and I charged clients when they were late, and I would not let them rebook with me if they hadn't paid those. So I was okay losing a client if they weren't going to respect my policies, because it's how I kept my business open and running and having that consistent income. I needed clients I could rely on because I was relying on them coming in and paying me. So if a client was going to be flaky and not respect me and not follow me, how am I ever going to build a business on a clientele full of flaky clients? We want to weed those people out before they ever come into our business and before cash and expectations is ever exchanged. I also want you to be 100% responsible. And this is probably my biggest issue with the lash artist forums, where you get, yes, you guys, we get crazy clients, we get unreasonable clients, we get women who are full of emotions and expectations. But when we get these vile comment threads of bashing clients because they had the audacity to ask for a refund because they were unhappy, I question how many of these lash artists are taking responsibility for their part in the unhappiness of a client. A client, when they choose to book with you, for the most part, I'm going to say like 99% of clients are this way. And there are that 1% that are just wackadoos. But 99% of our clients want us to give them the result that they are paying for. They do. They're not out to extort you. They're not out to ruin your day. They're not out to be pissed off, leave bad reviews, all of that jazz. They really want to get what they feel that they are paying for. And how many times is it the lash artist's fault for not establishing the expectations, for promising something that they can't deliver, for not explaining policies and then just blindly charging a client because they didn't follow policies that they didn't know existed? Are you being 100% responsible in an unhappy client situation? How could you have approached the situation differently, handled it differently, learned from the situation so that you don't have to deal with it again? Never respond to an unhappy client in a place of defensiveness, instability, or emotion. If you get a client who is blowing up your phone because they're super unhappy, put the phone aside for a day or two until you're in a calmer place and can respond in a professional way. If you start getting into it, going back and forth with a pissed off client, they've won. They then have screenshots that they can share on social media about how crazy you are, how unstable you are. And you're like, you're the one who is like, lit your lashes on fire and wants me to replace them. But they have the proof that you were unstable and that you were the one that didn't run your business professionally and whatever their expectation is. But when you come from a place of not bringing your emotion into that conflict, where you're in a cool, calm, collected place, like especially if you get bad reviews on either Google or Yelp and you get the opportunity to respond to other people reading the review. That client may already be lost. They just want to feel heard and they didn't feel heard by you. So go in from a place of, I'm so sorry you feel that way. Here's the XYZ of what happened. Please contact us if you have any other questions, or we wish you the best of luck. Just don't get sucked in to their accusations of you, especially if you know it's not true. Especially if they think that you're out to get them, or you're, I paid $100, my lashes didn't last 2 days, and, we have effectively tried to troubleshoot, or my lashes didn't last 2 weeks, or whatever their complaint is. It may not be a true reflection of you. So how can you still present your business in the best light? By taking responsibility for the errors that you had. Clients get much calmer when you take responsibility for actual things that you are responsible for. I'm so sorry. I should have stated that there was a cancellation policy of 48 hours. Seems kind of a long time, but whatever. That was my bad. I will, not apply the cancellation fee on this appointment, but just know that any time in the future that you cancel within 24 hours, I will be enforcing the cancellation policy. It's as simple as that. Otherwise a client can be really pissed off that you never told them that there's a cancellation fee and now they're being charged. So with me, with policies, it was all about clear communication. This is how you prevent no-shows, how you prevent refund requests, how you have everything mapped out. And if you are confused or lost on what policies you should have in place inside of your lash business, I am happy to share my policies as an example and as inspiration for you. Now, let's be clear, I am not a lawyer. Anytime a contract is signed, anytime a client agrees to something and signs it, that is a contract. So I do recommend that you take your policies and run it by a lawyer to make sure that they are legal, that they are enforceable, and that you can actually charge a client for X, Y, and Z, whatever you're charging for. That is just my recommendation, but I do have sample policies as kind of information for you to take, because I remember sitting down and going, okay, I've had some clients push the boundaries. I actually need to sit down and write out what I want to happen in these cases. I'm a reasonable human. I'm not trying to take advantage of everybody. If I'm wrong, I'll admit it, right? Like I will take take care of it. But sure as heck, I'm not going to let somebody pretend like there's a family emergency for the 6th time to try and cancel their appointment last minute, rob me of the money that I was anticipating for that day. And yet I see pictures of them on social media where they're out partying at the ocean or the beach, right? We can avoid all of that by having clear and concise policies. So I'm happy to share my policies with you at thelashpreneur.com/lashbizpolicies. So LashBizPolicies. So Lashbiz policies. That is how you enforce your policies. You make sure that they are clear, that everybody's on the same page, that you have verbally and written shared your policies with your clients, everybody's on the same page. You then make sure that you understand why you have to enforce policies and that it's okay for you to enforce policies to keep your business running functionally and efficiently. And then you also draw a line in the sand when you need to, and you take responsibility for how a upset client didn't get their way and what role you had in that. So thank you so much for the question and get lashed YXE. If you want to get those policies, again, it's thelashpreneur.com/lashbizpolicies. And until we see each other again, have a good one.